Okay, it's 6:30, and it's time for us to start our lecture for today. We're in week 6, and time is moving up pretty fast. And, so I'm going to get right into sharing my screen. Okay, as you can see down at the bottom here, our next lecture takes place in week 8, and then we have one in week 10, and then that's it. This quarter has gone by pretty fast. So let's get right to our weekly announcement. Evidence at the crime scene. This is really one of the pivotal parts of this course for law enforcement, especially because it's very important that you understand certain things. And so I like the assignments that they have for this week. Reading chapter 8 of the book, Dead Man in the Closet and What Counts at the Crime Scene. And then your discussion assignment, crime scene photography. Your digital post was done and submitted on time, and I replied to it already. And I will, as normally, submit another post for you to reply to. So you'll see that. Finally, complete the written assignment, crime scene safety matrix, and criminal evidence project crime scene chain of custody. One of my favorite topics that I discussed in another class that I teach, the importance of the integrity of the evidence that is presented during the trial. And if the integrity of the evidence is not maintained, there are instances where that evidence is either not allowed, or either the integrity of the evidence and also the person who tenders it, if they're a witness in a case, will be challenged as well. So then we get to my announcement ending, adversity is a springboard to success. So let's take a look at the course calendar quickly. Course calendar shows that we are at the point now of our reading assignment, our initial post, our lecture for today, our reply post due Saturday, and then your written assignment is due on Saturday, along with your evidence project. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And then, of course, next week there is none, but you know the assignments there. And then your course project will be due on the 20th. So you want to make sure that you get those done. Our next lecture will be the 23rd. The 23rd of this month. Okay, so let's get to week 6. Let's look at the assignments once again. Crime scene safety matrix. Complete the using the link here, the matrix, and then answer each of these provisions here as well. And then your discussion post, crime scene photography, which you've done that pretty much, and then the project chain of custody in 2 to 3 pages, a detailed description of the crime scenes of your high-profile crime. I think you had the O.J. Simpson case, and you're going to answer these questions, provide citations and references, and of course the cover sheet as well for that as well. Okay. So now let's go back to the content. All right. So again, I provide you with the assignments of what it is that we're involved with. And then dead man in the closet. I'm going to activate this so we can get this done. Here we go. All right, so it says you are called to a crime scene. Do what you can to help set up reliable chain of custody for the evidence in the following case. A chain of custody, of course, refers to the steps to ensure that the evidence is safe and does not change until the trial. As I said a few minutes ago, the integrity of the evidence, documentation of the evidence, location, time of location, all the way to the final disposition, what you did with it when you got it and who you passed it on to as well. So here we go. Let's take a look at this little exercise. Mrs. Henson, owner of Henson Farms, called the police when she discovered the body of Dan Warren, one of her workers, in the closet of a room. You and your newly hired deputy arrive at the scene with a search warrant for the crime scene. And it says that the entire farm is the area that you are allowed to search with the search warrant. As officer in charge, you're responsible for setting up the chain of custody. So the question is, where do you start? Where do you start? That's the question here. Okay, so let's click on this. First of all, you have to brief the new deputy on the importance of chain of custody. And so you're going to complete the following sentence by dragging the correct choice into place. The chain of custody is a process used to maintain and document the accuracy of the evidence, the chronological history of the evidence, the hazardous risk related to the evidence. So let's try this one. And that's it. The history of the evidence, the chronological. Some might want to deal with the accuracy of the evidence, but no, we want to protect the history of the evidence. Then the deputy asked, okay, you understand that, but can you explain exactly what is the purpose for the chain of custody? And you say that the question is good or excellent, and you respond. The whole purpose of the chain of custody is to make sure that the condition of the evidence remains up to date, relevant to the crime, and unchanged. And the answer is unchanged. From the date of the collection of evidence without the chain of custody, someone might tamper with the evidence that ruins the court. By the way, just so you know, let me show you something. Let's see if you put this up here. It's not going to take. So you'll know the correct one, and it's going to stick in here. But that is it, unchanged. And you begin to get a focus on the purpose of the chain of evidence. You open the closet door, and the body tumbles out. You begin the careful process of collecting evidence to begin a solid chain of custody. Rearrange the steps so they follow the proper procedure at a crime scene. Okay, so now the body has fallen out. Let's see how we do here. What's the first thing you do? Okay. Record fingerprints, store bag, document, transportation, location of evidence. No deputy removes bullets from the gun. Collect blood evidence. Label all evidence. Secure the crime scene. And then cocaine into large paper bag. So here's the first thing. So what do you want to do? Let's see. Let's try this. Let's try to make sure we secure the crime scene. And then let's try to see a visual examination of the crime scene. And then what do we want to do next? Record fingerprints. I think probably release of the crime scene will probably be number 10. Store a gun in paper bag. Document location of evidence. Note deputy remove bullets from gun. Collect blood samples. Labels on all evidence. Cocaine into paper bag. So let's see what will we do. This body is out. So what is one of the first things we want to do? Possibly maybe record fingerprints. And then collect blood evidence. Store a gun in bag. Note deputy labels on all evidence. Cocaine into a plastic envelope. Maybe you might want to put the cocaine in a plastic envelope. Store a gun. Or you could do this way. You could do it that way. Let's see. Document location of evidence. Probably labels on all, well, I'd say labels. Possibly, well, no, I would say probably this one might be off, but I think I might move that over, so, and then that. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's see what we come up with. See how we did. Okay. So secure the crime scene. Visual exam. Okay. Maybe record fingerprints. Document location of the evidence. Let's try to document location of the evidence. Store a gun in paper bag. Release. Okay, or you might do this one and then do that one. Cocaine. Collect blood evidence. Labels all evidence. Okay, let's see how we did here. Okay, so we're doing pretty good here. We got 4 of them. Okay, so document location of the evidence. Label all evidence. Still say, okay, you're going to document, okay, label all evidence. I'm still going to, I still tend to think that you got to get the evidence first. And here's label all evidence. You record the fingerprints. Oh, I see something here. Label all evidence. Cocaine. Let's try it now. Okay, we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, documentation. I still say you got to do, okay, note, or gun in the paper bag. One of these might be, let's see. Pretty tricky, pretty tricky. Anyway, you could see how you could go on and on and on. Documentation. Okay, I'm just going to try this. I still think you have to store the gun. No, you have to deputy removes bullets from a gun, store a gun in bag. No, yeah, I still am not comfortable with this. So let's see what happens now. Okay. Okay, so I'm almost there. Secure the crime scene, visual exam, document location, record fingerprints, collect blood samples. So you got to do this one first, and then that one second. Now, it should be perfect. There we go. We got it. Okay, it makes sense. Secure the crime scene. Visual evidence of the crime scene. So you look at the whole scene. Document location of the evidence, where you found it. Record fingerprints. Then collect the blood samples. Deputy removes bullets from gun. Store the gun in a plastic bag. Cocaine, and then labels all evidence, because you got all the evidence. Here's 1, 2, 3 pieces of evidence, 4 evidence. So you labeled it, and then you release the crime scene. That's how you get the chain of custody. You're just about done, but you work with your deputy to make sure that the different kinds of evidence are collected properly. If they aren't, the chain of custody is broken. Roll over each type of evidence, more information on collecting procedures. Okay. Using standard procedures, fingerprint evidence must be gathered first before all other evidence because it is the most fragile and could be lost. Okay, that makes sense. In the case of weapons, removing the bullets. Remember we talked about that a few minutes ago. Separate the bullets, all actions must be recorded to create the chain of custody. To maintain chain of custody, collect all suspicious documents. Never change a document, either with creases or marks. Seal documents in plastic or cellophane envelopes. And then finally, proper procedure for collecting cocaine is to store it in a paper envelope that must be sealed thoroughly to prevent leaking or seepage. Okay. You really need to rush your evidence to the crime lab, especially the blood samples, which need to be refrigerated. But to make sure you're building a solid chain of custody, you take one more look at your evidence. Roll your mouse over each number to see all the details required and attached to each evidence. Number 1, description of the piece of evidence. Number 2, the case number. Number 3, the date and location where the evidence is collected. The name of the individual who gathered the evidence. Very important because that's the person who could be testifying. And then 5, any other identifying information, such as a brand or product stuff. So you need to make sure that you do these. Chain of custody says you now have a basic understanding of chain of custody, which is very important, and you can't convict a person without it. So it says, even if officers find a defendant's bloody fingerprints all over the scene of the murder, all this compelling evidence is useless in a court if the police don't establish a chain of custody. Very, very much important. So this is a good little exercise, especially putting those in the order. Okay. And so finally, what counts at a crime scene? Processing the scene for evidence is important for all police professionals. And some key components in processing include awareness of potential hazards, like, for example, loaded guns or explosives or carcinogens that could start fires or something that could hurt you. Proper procedure to mitigate those damages, such as removing bullets from guns, things of that nature. Evidence collection, wearing gloves, wrapping them with tweezers and things of that nature, keeping your prints and your body off of that. Storing techniques, such as blood, storing it in because it will break down pretty fast. Transportation techniques, building chain of custody, we've talked about that. So those are some of the things that are important here in terms of that. So with that, I am going to adjourn this session for today. Again, when you take this session, it is very, very, very important to help law enforcement understand the importance of making sure that we maintain the integrity of the evidence from the time you discover it till the time it shows up as an exhibit in a court trial. So with that, I'm going to say good night.